By the light of the sun, by the depth of the moon, by the flame of the wand, and by the pentacle of earth, I call upon the guides of wisdom, the ancestors of the craft, and the holy guardian angel. Guide us now through the stations of the dove and serpent. Reveal what is hidden, that we may transform it into light. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. In this reading, we walk the path of the dove and serpent spread, an 11-fold journey of transformation. Each position reveals a unique aspect of your journey, alternating between the essence of your being and the events that shape your destiny. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Pisces, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we start with the Queen of Swords. This is a card that's looking at the past. You're somebody that is dealing with a retrospection, right? The first position is called the Station. It reveals our preoccupation, what's on our mind, kind of, where we are reflecting on our energy, how we see ourselves, and kind of what's going on with us, right? Especially like when we're kind of laying down to go to sleep at night, what is on our mind? I think that you're trying to understand what happened, right? The Queen of Swords looking at the past, trying to separate out the emotion, how we feel about the past is one thing, right? But how we are logically looking at it. Maybe we're trying to understand why something ended. The queens are always looking at the past. The queens represent the different ways that we can deal with an ending, how we process the ending of something before we're ready to move on to the future, right? It's always a turning point. We're always kind of trying to recapitulate something and come to terms with it, process it so that we can go forward again. Yeah. So something recently ended for you. And that ending, we're trying to understand why. Why did I go through that? Why did it end? What is the course of events? Maybe we're trying to understand what my role was in that ending, whether, what's the share of blame or what's the cause and effect kind of thing to it. We're trying to understand it intellectually, because maybe it doesn't change how we feel about it. I feel a certain way, I feel how I feel about it, but I'm trying to understand it in my mind so that I can, kind of come to terms with it and move forward, right? I think that's kind of what's driving you right now. That's what we're sort of focused on, is trying to process the ending so that we can get ready for a new beginning, okay? Now, Pisces, you're not here by accident, okay? We're going to put this into some context. We're going to see what the rest of the cards reveal about your path. Here we have the Libra energy, the adjustment card. We have a Queen, Queen of Wands, okay? We have a Five of Pentacles, yep. Three of Wands. And there's the next step. There is the Eon card. Okay, I could tell we're on the right track today, okay? Your guides have something to say to you. So we're going to dive into this mystery. We've got the Strength card. We've got the Ace of Cups. Ooh, Ace of Cups. A Nine of Wands and Two of Pentacles. We're ready to leave the past behind us and take the step into the future. Let's select our mystery card. I don't want to use this little tiny pack for the mystery card anymore. So we're going to adjust some things here. We're going to go back to this Pamela Smith Tarot. And we're going to set this down right over here with Dwight K. Schrute. And we're not going to look at that card until the very end. All right? So you do have to watch until the end. But that's going to tie everything together and give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, well, put your prediction in the comments down below. All right, let's use our intuition. Now, as we look around the room here, we see major cards, okay? We see fire, a little bit of water, right? And we've got our air, and we've got some earth. So not really a lot of water or air, right? It's kind of now about the fire and the earth. You know, even this very fiery, this is very fiery. Okay, the past and then the future, right? We're kind of we're going to leave the past behind. We're going to come to terms with why something didn't work out. Yeah. Why something perhaps failed to launch, whatever. And it may be a work thing, a career thing. It doesn't have to be really a relationship, but it could be. This is some sort of dysfunction on the mechanical plane, on the material plane, right? The material world. Some kind of failure for things to really align properly. Yeah. But let's look at position 2, the battlefield, right? This reveals kind of what's blocking your path right now. And this is representing the personal task or quest that's in front of you. There's some event now that is bringing out this quality in you. And this is really a card of judgment, a card of justice, a card of kind of getting balanced, getting centered, and kind of a higher wisdom, a higher discernment. We're trying to look at something from the past. We're trying to process an ending, and we're trying to acknowledge and really trust and really believe that it happened for a reason. There's a reason why that didn't align. There's a reason why something back there didn't resonate, and it came to an end. And so now the qualities that we need are this kind of balance. We need to be centered in ourselves, and I think you're trying to be very almost stoic. Trying not to be overtaken by our emotions here. We're trying to say, okay, something didn't work out, that's all right. Maybe we're trying to say, you know, it's a 50-50 thing. There's some blame on my side, and there's some blame out there too. There are things that I could have done better, but you know, it's not all my fault. We're maybe not trying to place blame anywhere. We're trying to say, like, it is what it is, you know, and everything happens for a reason and all these other cliches. But the things that we have to sort of acknowledge and believe so that we don't get overwhelmed by those emotions. These two are very, like, intellectual cards, especially the Queen of Swords, rising above the emotions, getting that bird's eye view of things and kind of looking at it and maybe coming to the realization that, okay, this was maybe for the best, okay? And of course, I believe that it is too, because you got this Ace of Cups in your environment. I think you are very quickly going to encounter something that is going to really activate your heart chakra, okay? You have no idea how happy you're going to be. First, we have to process the ending so we can get ready for a new beginning on the emotional plane, okay? And I think in some ways we're trying not to feel our feelings here, but maybe that's a mistake. Maybe it's okay for us to feel how we feel about this ending so that we can purge those feelings and be ready for this. This is good, right? So the Justice card here is kind of illuminating for you the choices that you have to make now, I think, right? What is the conflict inside of you now? Is it partly this belief like, well, this was the one, this was supposed to work, and maybe there's this sense of blame. Maybe we are blaming ourselves, and maybe we're trying to come to terms with that and say, now, you know what? I'm not perfect, but there's nothing I could have done to prevent this, and we're trying to really trust in the universe that says it just wasn't meant to be. Whether it's a job or some, financial venture or a love relationship or anything else, right? The quest right now, the conflict is what we choose. Are we choosing to stay stuck in the past and to dwell on something? Or are we going to choose to say, okay, this is my assessment of it and I'm ready to move on? So this is in some ways the post-mortem that we do on the relationship or whatever this was in the past, okay? And I think it's important for you to be stoic, to not let your emotions drive the car and dictate your choices, but to also not necessarily deny your emotions. See, we're going back to the Queen of Swords here. The Queen of Swords is trying to be very honest with themselves, right? Trying to take off any kind of mask or disguise, trying to just be real. Trying to be authentic, trying to look at an ending and say, yeah, you know what? It sucks. I'm not going to pretend I don't care. I do care. I'm not going to sink down into a pit of despair either. But I need to just be real. And maybe this is about us having that kind of a conversation, maybe with ourselves, or maybe out loud, maybe to a friend, maybe to the other person or something, and say, this is what's on my mind. So maybe the processing of the ending is about you finding some closure by expressing how you truly felt, not trying to be stoic, not trying to be I don't care, but trying to admit how we felt about it so that we can release it, and we can move on. Yeah. And in some ways, maybe this is the choice that we need to make. Because what we see with the third card, underneath the surface, position 3, the soul position, something inside of you, kind of a hidden part of yourself, is the Queen of Wands. Now, the Queens, remember, always looking at an ending, how we process an ending. This is one, doesn't process the ending, burns the bridge. Yep, just completely cuts it off, rips it off like a Band-Aid, and says, see ya. This is you burning bridges behind you. And there is part of you that I think doesn't really want to do this, right? That this is something that maybe we have a tendency to do. And maybe when we burn the bridge behind us, it doesn't give us an opportunity to really sit with it and understand it and try to come to terms with it and maybe learn the lessons that it had for us. Because we're maybe typically too quick to just get done with that old thing and say, yeah, whatever, what's next? Come on. Okay. At the same time, though, these two positions in the Dove and Serpent spread are intimately connected. And this is a new relationship of the heart that is going to make you want to forget all about whatever their name was, right? It's going to really make you want to quickly burn this bridge, quickly end this, thing and say, okay, I'm ready for what's next, right? But what we see here, these two positions are very intimately connected too. We don't want to rush it. We want to do the right thing, which is give yourself time to find your balance. Again, when you're off balance, right, with this Libra energy, if we're off balance, we're going to very quickly rush into something else in order to, and we're going to end up swinging the other way, right? So it really is about give yourself time to center your energy first before rushing forward into the future and doing this, because this is going to inspire you to sort of cut the cord real fast without giving yourself any time to recapitulate or to process the ending. Okay, this is something in the environment that is provoking a shadow quality in you. Okay, this is a very good thing. This is like I said, a new relationship of the heart. Don't allow that new relationship of the heart to snatch you away from this process of processing the ending. Does that make sense? Because this is, like I said, again, Queen of Wands, trying to process an ending, wants to just burn the bridge and move on. Kind of just walking away angry, This is kind of like blocking them, never going to think about them again. And yeah, sometimes that's the way to go. I think right now you want to process something. You want to take a little bit more time. You want to have a more peaceful ending than this, okay? This is very fiery, very abrupt. This is a Band-Aid coming right off. The Queen of Cups, perhaps, on the other hand, is the Band-Aid coming off very, very slowly, and it hurts, right? We're not trying to do that either. You got the Queen of Swords. You're taking the Band-Aid off, and you're trying to not make it hurt more than it needs to, but you're trying to understand almost the logic of something. It's kind of like we want to end as friends kind of thing. It could be that this is more of a financial thing or more of a household kind of thing. It could be, honestly, that the reason why this isn't working out anymore is because you don't really feel the love for this person. You're not in love with them anymore, or you weren't, or they weren't, or there's something didn't quite work out. And so I think that you're kind of feeling it as more amicable, that this was a, kind of a mutual thing. We both kind of decided, hey, it's not working, right? And maybe it's a job or something like this. That was kind of like, hey, you know what? No hard feelings, handshake, see you later. But I think that, we're taking time to sort of figure all that out, what our feelings are, and to have the conversation, to have like the exit interview, so to speak. Okay. Yeah, it could be that there are feelings there, and we're kind of, we're being distracted by the new relationship of the heart. And so we're trying to just quickly burn that bridge and move on, rather than processing how we really truly feel about something. Yeah. So, what is it? What is the Five of Pentacles here in the background? That's the position of the dwarf. It's the recent event of the past, and to me it feels like it's some sort of dysfunction. And now maybe we're even, when I say we're processing an ending, maybe you're still sort of like, you haven't yet technically ended it, okay? That we're processing the ending, but we haven't actually like made it official that it's over, okay? Because we're looking back at this Five of Pentacles and we're thinking, this is something that's dysfunctional. This is something that is, it's sort of cracking up. It's ready to expire. It's something that's breaking down. It's something that's not working, right? This is usually something, any of the fives really, are something in our life that we're being told, look at it. Five of Cups, you look at a feeling. Five of Swords, look at a relationship, look at your thoughts. Five of Pentacles, look at the physical reality. Like look at the facts, right? So I think that there was an incompatibility here somewhere. It could be that this turned out to be just really a mundane relationship, physical only, maybe. There were no deeper connections there. It's like, yeah, maybe we had fun and there was physical, compatibility, but there was nothing more. Okay, we tried to go kind of deeper and it didn't work out. There was no connection. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe this is saying that there was love, there was interest, there was, mutual sort of, we had shared goals and ideas, but the physical part there was no compatibility there. Okay. So the idea is that there was some sort of lack of harmony. Something about that job or that person didn't resonate with you fully. Okay. Something we tried, we put in the work, but Spirit really wants you to look at that and understand what was the incompatibility. Was it physical, mental, emotional, spiritual? Was it a combination of things? Okay. It's not a problem that we're going to try to fix. Okay, because I think you've pretty much made up your mind that you don't want to be in that situation anymore. But we want to understand what it was. Yeah. We don't want this to become a sort of, if we don't look at it, if we just rip the Band-Aid off, we just burn the bridge and walk away, we never really are going to know what this was and like what went wrong. Where did things kind of fall apart? That you, I don't know, if there's something going on with money for you, I think. Like we get ourselves out of debt or we recover from some financial difficulties, and we immediately forget about it and just start moving forward. Forget about the past, just look ahead, Sure. But what if we don't learn the lesson and we end up repeating this again? Someone that gets in trouble with their credit cards and they file bankruptcy, they discharge their credit obligations or something, or they pay off the credit cards or whatever, right? But then they just sort of move forward into the future and they end up to do the same thing again. Nothing changes. So we need to look at the past to find out what went wrong here and how do I make sure this doesn't happen again? Let me look at how I got myself into that mess so I don't do it again now. I've got myself out of the mess. I don't want to get back in the mess. Okay? So I think that this is something that you need to take some time to look at, especially if you're feeling pulled toward a new relationship of the heart. We don't want this to be a repeat. We want to make sure that we at least are doing our due diligence and being self-aware so that we don't end up, jeopardizing the potential that this new relationship could have, whether it's a new job or a new romance or anything like that. Okay. The card up above the surface is the Three of Wands, and that's really like we're motivated to do the right thing. And it could be that the right thing is for you to end something and to not beat around the bush about it, right? It's kind of with the Libra energy, it's saying let's make a choice, right? Let's make a choice from higher wisdom and discernment. And maybe the Queen of Wands is trying to end something, or the Queen of Swords, right? Not the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands would just ghost somebody, right? The Queen of Wands would just block somebody and never tell them why. Completely walk away from somebody or something or whatever without any kind of explanation or any kind of announcement, right? And that's totally fine. I mean, if that's your prerogative, that's your prerogative. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to have almost like have that conversation. We're trying to do things in the right way. And I think that that's part of our Three of Wands here. Knowing the right way to handle something right now. Maybe it isn't to just walk away with no announcement, no forewarning. But we also don't want to misdirect anybody or give anybody false hope. So it's kind of like we're being very clear about our intentions. We're speaking very clearly and logically, and we're not using any kind of emotional words. We're saying this is the fact. Okay? And maybe that's the right thing to do here, is to end something, not let it linger on longer than it needs to, not lead somebody on, or not stick around at a job that we've totally lost any sort of care for, And so I think that we know what the right thing to do. This is the card of virtue. Okay? This is the card that says, I can't limit myself by being stuck in this situation anymore. I need to know how to proceed forward. And there is I think you're ready to begin the new thing. And I think this is a matter of closing out the old thing before we get too heavily involved in the new thing, And I think that's the right thing to do. I think that you are drawn to this new thing and we're ready to take that step. But there is the kind of the personal ethics involved here that says, okay, let me fully finish this ending and process that and make sure that's all wrapped up before I go and do this new thing. It's kind of like I'm taking this new job, but I have to make sure that I break free of the old job too, before I get too heavily involved in the new thing. And, well, that's what's coming in the future position. The next step for you is making that decision, taking that step. The Eon, judgment, rebirth, reawakening. This is the next event. This is what's coming next for you, the future. The doorway to the future. This card is all about stepping through a doorway, closing the door on the past so that we can open the door to the future. Right? It's a doorway, so it's both an exit and an entrance. We're closing the door on the past at the same time we're walking into the future, yeah? So by making a definite decision regarding the past, you're allowing your future to unfold as it needs to, in the proper way, yeah? And I think that this is the right sequence of events, okay? Because we want to be fully away from the old thing before we take the new thing. Whatever it is, romance, school, I don't know. It's not something where we want there to be a lot of overlap, in other words. This is a definite decision, okay? And it's saying to go through the doorway, to take what you want in the future, to go in that new direction, you have to leave the past behind. That's the only way. In this particular case. Not universally or absolutely true, but in this case, yeah. Sometimes we see that there's a little bit of overlap or a little bit of blending the past with the future. This is a doorway. And you can be half in, half out. You can have one foot in the past, one foot in the future, and straddling the threshold. But eventually you're going to have to make a decision, either to go back and fix something that maybe is worth fixing, or to move forward and take what your heart is sort of leading you to now. Yeah. This is a divine doorway. Let's do a divine doorway oracle card for you. Heart healing. Morning now has had its time. Do not pay it a single dime. Emerge from the darkness, a new day starts. Let light embrace the healing heart. Morning has now had its time. Don't pay it another dime. Right? In other words, you've done the post-mortem on this relationship. You've looked at it, you've done that. Now you can make the decision to let it go and move forward. We don't have to keep having that end interview, that exit interview. I do it once, and that's it. I'm done. I'm moving forward now. So when we're ready, when we feel like we've processed it enough, and we've thought about it, we considered it, and we've analyzed it enough, let's not pay it another dime. Let's leave it in the past. Let's shut the door and move forward, yeah? And we're moving forward to the path of the serpent. As we do this, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And if there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Your persona is position 7, and this is your face right now. This is kind of how you're presenting yourself to the world. I think that it's the opposite of the stoic kind of bird's eye view, kind of being very serious and very kind of calm and not emotional, not passionate, just sort of matter of fact, very to the point, very direct. And now that we've taken that step forward, now that we're free of the past, now you're free to be this passionate and sort of vibrant, being. This is a person that's filled with love and lust and zeal and zest. It's a strength and it's a courage. Okay, and it's almost it's kind of like now you're free to really just kind of like wild out and enjoy this new thing. I feel like this is a lot of passion, and I feel that this is a card called lust, and I don't know how else to talk about it, but it is what it is. I think it makes sense to you that now you've made the decision, you've done the work over here. Now you're ready to let your passion fully express itself and be experienced. We're not trying to conceal this part of ourselves, trying to be very stoic over here, trying to have the calm, thoughtful discussion. Over here, you're just, it is passion. It is exactly that, right? And I think that this is your strength right now. This is your courage, and I don't see it as much of a persona right now, but I feel like it's that part of you that you want to express now. Whereas before we had that very calm, very thoughtful, very stoic, very matter-of-fact, very direct air energy. Now we have the very, very heated and passionate, very zesty fire energy. Okay? And I think it's because we've got this new relationship of the heart. Yeah, this Ace of Cups in the environment. And like I said, this is the situation in your environment, the new relationship of the heart that's making you want to end this last thing as quickly as you can. But you're trying to be cautious. That's another aspect of these two right here, is that we're not trying to rush into something else. We're not trying to just like, oh, there's a new shiny thing over here. Well, I'm burning that bridge and I'm going this way. No, we're saying, oh, I may want to do that. Yeah, I'm falling in love with this new thing, makes me want to throw away what I had. But I'm not going to do that so impulsively. I'm going to be a little stoic. I'm going to calm myself down. I'm going to be reasonable. I'm going to think to myself, what's the right thing to do? Let me give it a few days. Let me be cautious and prudent. Maybe that's going to be the mystery card. It'd be that 8 of Pentacles. Because we don't want to just be led into this new thing, just be driven by our lust and our passions, right? to make these decisions. No, we're going to take our time. We're going to be thoughtful. We're going to try to be stoic and direct and to the point, and really get a bigger perspective, try to be objective and all that stuff. Because that's the right thing to do. You're working this, you had this job, it's not perfect, but then, some new opportunity comes your way and it says, come work over here. Do you just immediately burn the bridge and go? Or do you think about it for a little while, and kind of say, what's the right thing to do here? Instead of being driven by this appetite, instead of being driven by the appetite. Because that's what this situation is, this relationship. This new relationship of the heart makes you want to rush into it and burn the bridge and go directly ahead, right? So again, the queen is kind of how we're doing the endings. And so really this is kind of just running away. This is just, again, burning the bridge, ripping the Band-Aid right off, just completely cutting contact, just ghosting this thing because of this influence. Yeah. This is going to be a very good thing for you. Okay, I feel like changing your circumstances and pursuing whatever this new relationship of the heart is going to be a very good thing for you. It's important. Okay, and I think that it's, from the looks of these cards, it's the right thing to do, is to pursue this because this feels good. This matters to you more. Of course, you want to end things the proper way before you take advantage of this. Okay, this is really, really good. You're going to be really, really happy with this one. The Nine of Wands is the next card. It's the fear, worry, and concern, right? And in a way, we have to be strong enough to do the right thing. We have to be in control of ourselves. And again, it's because this situation feels so good. It's activating your heart in such a way that it makes you want to just run, and just completely abandon this thing right away and indulge this and feed that appetite, right? We've got to be strong. We've got to be strong and do the right thing. We've got to slow ourselves down a little bit. Okay. We have to be aware of how we feel and how passionate we are and how desirous we are of this new thing. We've got to still be in control and be strong and do the right thing in regards to the past. Okay. So the 9 is a card of strength. Okay. And it's sometimes in this position, it's a fear, worry, and concern, right? And the fear might be that we are not strong enough to resist. And so in that sense, it's kind of like we're wondering, is this the right thing for me to do? Should I be pursuing this or should I be trying to fix this? It's kind of like saying that this new relationship of the heart is making us feel a little weak, right? A little weak in the knees, right? And I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I don't know if am I being driven by my emotions, or is this really the reasonable thing to do, is to end this thing? If this wasn't here, would you still want to end this other thing? Or would we be saying, no, I'd stay there and I'd try to make it work? Well, why? Is it because we'd rather have something broken than have nothing at all? Okay, so we have to maybe ask those questions, and that's what the air energy, that's what the Queen of Swords and the Libra energy, the adjustment card, that's what they're doing. Trying to ask these questions, trying to figure out, if this wasn't here, would I still want to end this, right? If I would stay and choose to fix this, is this just because I'm scared of being alone? And so I'd rather have something broken than have nothing at all, okay? And so these are things that we have to naturally sort of think about as we're confronted really with this new opportunity or this new situation, this new potential path here. Okay. And so our fear is that we're not strong enough to really to know or to act from a place of intention and willpower, that we're just being that we're being weak, right? And I don't think you are. I think that you know what the right thing to do is, and the right thing to do is going to require strength. And the strength might be you wait a day or two. The strength might say we've got to end things properly before we truly begin the new thing. Okay, whether it's because that's the legal requirement or some sort of contractual agreement, or if it's just kind of, manners, right? just good manners. Position 10, though, is the destiny. This is the final event, and it's change. It's harmonious change. Things are changing for the better. This new thing is the right path for you. You've got to make this transition in the right way. It's all about how you handle things, okay? And you want to make sure there is a space between the old and the new. You don't want there to be overlap here, because that might be something that is sort of, it's going to be something that might affect the new relationship if there's too much overlap. You know what I mean? And so I think that this is the proper change. It sounds to me from these cards and from what Spirit is saying that this is a choice that you should be making. We've got to do it in the right way. Okay? This is a yes from Spirit. Well, let's look at the mystery card. Let's unveil this mystery together. This is position 11. This is the guide. This is your higher self, true self. This is the voice of the silence within you. It usually is revealing a character quality that we have to develop in order to walk the path ahead. Okay, what do we need to do? Who do we need to become? And it may be that we need discipline. We need self-control. So maybe the Chariot. It might be that we need clarity. It could be an Ace of Swords. It could be that we need caution and prudence and patience. We might be an Eight of Pentacles. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments down below. Let's see what we have. We have a 9 or 10. Oh yeah, 9 of Swords. Excuse me. And the 9 of Swords is sleepless nights. Yeah. The 9 of Swords is a card in this position when it's kind of saying, like, what is the message of the higher self? It is, it's being brutally honest with yourself, for one thing. It's kind of asking, what is the painful truth here, right? And it could be a recognition that it's not so much that we're so weak that we are just something new and shiny comes along and we're just running off in this other direction. But I think it really is about, like, let's be really truly honest with the state of things of this past thing. Whatever is kind of ending in your life now, this is the realization that it needs to end. You know, as disappointing as it is, and not even considering the new thing. Let's pretend the new thing doesn't even exist. This old thing is something that we don't want anymore. It's something that isn't working for us anymore. So I think what Spirit's trying to say is that you've been wanting to end this for a long time. But it's because of this new potential prospect thing that is sort of bringing us to that moment of choice, that moment of truth where we have to, like, you know, it's kind of giving us the motivation or the impetus to change now. Okay, and maybe the painful truth is that if this new thing didn't come along, maybe I would have suffered back there in that relationship for a long time, thinking that's all that I could ever have, or that's as good as things could be. That I should be content with whatever dysfunctional thing that was. Okay, sometimes it takes something new and something better to come along to make us realize, like, wow, I've been kind of suffering in silence for a while, and I don't need to do that. Okay, but I think we need to also be aware that regardless of this new thing, let's pretend it wasn't coming, it wasn't here. Why would we stay in that situation? Is it just out of a fear of loneliness, right? I feel like we're kind of, we'd rather suffer with that than maybe suffer worse not having anything. Yeah. So I think this is a rather difficult card to get as a mystery card, or as the wisdom from your higher self, okay? The message from your guides. But I think it's an important one. I think that we really need to consider that. Why are we considering this ending? Is it truly because we aren't happy in this and we don't feel the connection that should be there? We don't feel like we need to stay and try to fix it any longer? Are we leaving because there's this new thing here, or is this new thing just kind of a blessing because it's bringing us to the culmination of maybe a long time already of kind of preparing for an ending? I kind of feel like we knew it was coming. I feel like we've been working our way up to this ending, and now there is now's that moment of truth. Okay. So I think this is a fine mystery card. Okay. Now please let this message find your heart. Okay. Each card is a mirror, each station is a temple of transformation, alternating between who you're becoming and the world you are creating. Remember that the tarot does not dictate your future, it reveals the pattern of possibilities. It invites you to co-create your destiny. If this reading has illuminated your soul path in any way, please share your reflections down below. Together we journey onward, ever upward and ever inward. And we're going to do an extended reading as well if you want to stick around. We'll do an I Ching hexagram, we'll do some oracle cards. There is a link in the corner, there's a link down below. New readings for Pisces on Thursdays and Sundays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you are watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.